Proportional Response, Book 1. Chapter 12, Part 8, Coming to Terms. Eldia left her nephew's quarters with her assistant in tow. She waited until they got back to their shared quarters and had shut the door before she spoke.
So, it looks like I am not the only woman who made up her mind about a man tonight.
Vashna didn't even bother to try to hide her hands as they blushed. She gave a sardonic smile and then spoke.
Yet, you told your nephew that you haven't decided yet. Why would you hold that from him? Oh, no, you don't. You aren't going to dodge the subject by turning it back on me.
Her student shook her head and tried to give a severe look, but it came out with too much humor.
You seem awfully sure of your assumption that I have made up my mind about anything. Why is that, I wonder? Could it be because you are trying to deflect?
Eldia laughed, got them both a glass of water, sat herself down, and motioned for Vashna to join her.
Hardly. Okay, fine, I will go first. I didn't tell Enabol because I didn't want to get his hopes up. For one, the boy... caught you. That micro-expression of defensiveness when I called him boy, and the fact that you were ready to come at me when I put that stroke across his face, and you want to sit there and tell me you don't have my nephew in your crosshairs like a hunter on prey? And, yes, before you ask, getting your reaction was part of the reason I slapped him. Of course, I likely would have done it anyway. Enabol is one of my favorite people in this universe, has been since he was a boy. He can get a little ahead of himself though sometimes. He means well, he always does, but he can sometimes forge ahead faster than he should, and has to be pushed back on his heels a bit. So, back to my reasons. I don't want him to get his hopes up, and then have things fall through for some reason. I am not sure how well Henry and I might work. Hell, I'm not sure if either of us is relationship material at all. The other reason is the same one I slapped him for. He can get a little overeager sometimes, in his personal life anyway, and he might become a little too helpful if he finds out that his little stunt worked.
Vashna nodded and took a drink before she responded.
Okay, I can see that, and those things make sense. I have to admit that the man is frustrating me a little. I batted my eyes at him until I was afraid my eyelashes would fall off, but made no progress with him at all. In fact, I think it may have lost ground with him. Even more perplexing is that the only times he has shown real interest in me, as a woman, are when I start acting my intelligence, as Mother likes to call it, which is what usually sends my suitors running for the hills, or at least gives them second thoughts badly enough that I can see them trying to decide if they are willing to put up with this flaw in me. Most infuriating, however, is that the moment I see that interest spark in his eyes, something else comes in and smothers it, hard, and I can't tell what it is or from where.
Eldia tried to hold back a sly smile, without success, then tried to cover it up by taking a drink. She saw frustration flash in her charge's eyes, however, and realized she'd failed in covering up anything. With her training, and natural talent to boot, I should know better.
My dear, I do not mock you, though you are right in that I find a certain amusement at the situation, mostly because your upbringing and the kind of men you have been around have warped your perceptions in this one unique way that you are blind to what you are seeing. First though, I will give you credit for not falling for any of the men who were intimidated by you, and for being unwilling to reduce yourself to appeal to that sort of man. I guess it helps that you have your uncle and his wives as examples. You know, there are men out there of higher caliber than that. Come to think of it, you have your father as well, but that's another story. Second off, I can tell you what is coming in and snuffing that interest that you see lighting up in him. But I warn you two things. First, it is going to make you mad, mostly because you are young and inexperienced and will not properly understand. Second, and this is most important, is that the very thing putting a damper on that spark is one of the things that you find so attractive about him, though you probably don't realize it.
Vashna quirked an eyebrow at her and tilted her chin down slightly in a look that was nothing short of a challenge.
Okay, if you insist, don't say I didn't warn you. The thing that is snuffing out his interest is his inherent nobility. He believes he is too old for you, and that to pursue the interest that you are displaying in him would be unethical.
Vashna shot up out of her seat, fury in her eyes.
Oh, the little ambassador thinks he is out of my league, does he?
The girl drew a breath to start in on a proper rant, so Eldia spoke quickly into the pause.
See, I told you that you would get angry and fail to understand what I told you.
Those words had the desired effect of drawing the girl up short, but also earned her an angry glare as the anger was redirected.
You are calling me young and stupid then? No, I am calling you inexperienced in dealing with men, and with dealing with your own feelings about certain things. Oh, really? And this from the woman who just told me that his determination that he is so superior to me that he would tamp down feelings for me is something I find endearing about him. So you are suggesting that I want him because I can't have him?
She shook her head and gave the girl her best disarming smile.
The last sentence you just said has some basis in reality, and is certainly a component of your attraction to him that you need to understand and come to terms with. But everything you said before that is a complete mangling of what I told you. No, dear, stop. My turn to speak now. No, don't you try to loom over me, girl, and don't even try what is in your head now, or I will bundle you up and send you back to your mother so fast your head will spin. Don't think I won't, and don't think I can't. Good. Now, ready to listen? Good. I didn't say he thinks he's out of your league, or even that he thinks he is better than you. I said he thinks he is too old for you, and he might have been somewhat right, or he would be somewhat right, if not for the fact that you are, largely because of who you are and how you were raised, advanced far beyond your years. Something else you don't understand about all those older men who kept trying to win your hand. They were also too old for you, and they didn't understand what you are, and were trying to manipulate you into falling for them. It is a very, very unethical thing that some older men, and women, sometimes do with younger people. Inable, though, he wouldn't even consider it. He knows you are young, that you are a girl who is still of college age, while he is a man who is old enough to have achieved great success in his career, and that acting on any attraction you may have for him would be taking advantage. And that, my dear, is why the very thing that is stopping your advances is one of the things most attractive to you. It is his nobility. He wouldn't dream of taking advantage of a young intern who is so incredibly flattered by attention from the voice of the entire bloody empire that she has become attracted to him.
She'd watched the girl slowly shrink down under her torrent of words, but then a light of mischief came into her eyes at the end.
Oh, thinks I'm too young and innocent then? That has delicious possibility.
Oh no, that just won't do. Eldia sat bolt upright and slapped her drink on the table with enough force to cause her student to twitch in surprise.
Oh no, you don't, girl. You will not toy with my nephew. He is a good man, and I will not have you hurt him. Oh, don't worry. I don't intend to cause the man any permanent harm. No, but you are not allowed to toy with him either. Don't give me that rebellious look, girl. I am not saying that if you decide to pursue him, you have to keep him. Sana knows it would do the boy some good to have a girl who will treat him right and kick his legs out from under him for a bit. I know for a fact that it has been too long. I am saying that if you do manage to make real headway with him, then you will make it very clear to him whether you are playing for fun or playing for keeps. Or else. I already told you. The boy is one of my favorite people in this world, and I will not have him toyed with.
Vashna stood there and raised an imperious eyebrow at her with an expression that said she was considering trying to pull rank. She stood and matched the girl's stare for stare.
I mean it, young lady, and not just because of the beating you will get from me if you do. And don't look at me like that. Remember that your mother put you under my charge, and she fully explained to me what that means. Furthermore, if you won't listen to me, you will listen to her. She said to tell you that you are not allowed to break one of the Empire's best tools for your amusement, and you know damned good and well how important he is and will be. Do you understand?
Vashna's chin had risen slowly at the invocation of her mother, and it remained a little too high in the air as she nodded. She rolled her eyes at the girl.
Say it with me.
They intoned together.
Service to the diadem, first, foremost, and always.
Vashna then began to laugh, and Eldia felt her blood boil for a moment.
You were toying with me this entire time, weren't you?
The girl nodded, and she felt real fury build in her. Then the girl burst out laughing, shook her head, held up her hands, and spoke.
No, I wasn't toying with you the whole time, just for that last little bit. Most of that was me trying to buy myself time to process everything you just threw at me. And I will admit, I wasn't as mature about it as maybe I should have been, but you have to admit, you threw a lot at me at once.
She felt the fire in her throat die and began to laugh a bit herself.
Okay, you got me. Guess we both pushed a little too hard tonight.
She gave the girl a sharp look.
I still want your solemn promise.
Vashna waved her hand and cut her off.
You have it. Whatever I decide to do with your beloved nephew, I promise not to mistreat him. However, it appears that if I am going to do anything with him at all, I am going to need some help. For that matter, I think if you are going to catch the particular rabbit you are chasing, you could use some help as well.
The two of them looked at one another, and matching, sly grins slowly spread across their faces.